Question. How do we call? He gave us a signal.
What up, Gotham Guardians and Arkham Adversaries? It's your boy Trey of the Bat Channel, and we are back live from the Bat Cave. But before we begin the show, ladies and gentlemen, Warner Brothers had found him, and we had to move the Fortress of Solitude this weekend. Let's bring back a super bro Corey. How you doing, big fella?
What's up, everybody? How we doing today? How we doing? We escaped the grasp of Warner Brothers, and we're all settled in the new Fortress of Solitude, and we're ready to bring you a damn good show today.
It's gonna be damn good. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I don't know about Corey, but I'm pretty tired.
I'm doing great. I don't know why you're tired.
I'm in driving, helping you move.
I just don't know why you're tired. I guess Batman gets tired quicker than Superman.
Oh, you got to make
Makes
this
sense.
like a Batman stamina thing.
Bam! Supergirl.
We're going to talk a little bit about the Batman stamina a little bit earlier, a little bit later.
Yeah? Ooh.
But first, some product placement. I'm just kidding. Trade not sponsored by Monsters.
What's up,
What up, Geek Studios? And Trevor, I think I saw Trevor up there. What up, Trevor?
Yeah, we got Trevor up there. We got Release the Snyder Cut guy. We had some new ones, newer ones.
Comics Unknown. That's Jake, who runs the DCEU Restored Snyderverse group. He's awesome. I love his. He does a cool stream. Andrew Caselli, what's up, Andrew? My man. Andrew and I really enjoy Sil Abdul's show. We're usually on there chatting away and geeking out with Sil. System Failure with Mark. Much love from London. How's it going, brother? MF Edits. What's up, brother? Geek Studios. This is awesome, man. Well, thank you guys so much for. And hey, the Affleck movie, they're here. Glad to see you guys. We got a pretty big show coming up with them pretty soon. I'm like so excited. Like it's been a lot of hard work preparing for it, but it's going. I just Corey, don't you have just like a damn good feeling about it?
Oh yeah. I am so excited for next week. I'm the internet is working great up here so far, so fingers crossed that everything's smooth for next week. And man, this is going to be a great show next week. So if you haven't, make sure you set that reminder on next week's show because it's going to be damn good as well.
It's just I get this feeling that June 27th is like. I just feel like in the air, it's going to be a similar event to November 17, 2019, that people are just going to go crazy for the Affleck movie because, you had the Justice League film that I felt like really turned people off of Ben Affleck as Batman. But one thing about Batman v Superman, even the theatrical edition, one thing people could agree on, at least in that film, was that Ben Affleck caught everyone by surprise, and he is like a damn good Batman. And then Justice League ruined that. And when Zack Snyder's Justice League came out, all of a sudden people are like, holy hell, he is a damn good Batman. And it's like, yeah, that was the Batman that you were supposed to see, not the smiling idiot that's like, I don't not like you, Superman. What? I mean, even though they had their bro moments, but You know, I think I see Eric Patterson. What's up, brother? It's good to have you here, man. Really appreciate it. And I'm Corey. I'm so glad to have you back. Before we begin this show, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to join us this Sunday, because I know a lot of us, including ourselves, are celebrating Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to all of the super dads out there, including our very own Dad Pool, or Bat Dad, however he goes by. He keeps flipping it on me every week.
Yeah,
But,
Bat Dad or Deadpool. What
Bat Dad, Dadpool, you know. He really loves, Deadpool, so I feel like he should be Dadpool, but like, hey, one of these days we're gonna give him a t-shirt that's like Dadpool, because I mean, hey, it's Ryan Reynolds. He's hilarious. Would have been, oh, there he is right there. Dadpool, ladies and gentlemen. Round of applause for creating us two knuckleheads. Love you, Dad. He was helping us move earlier too. He was basically directing us, kind of doing that thing that all dads do, where it's like, I don't need to do all the hard work. You guys put stuff away. But the Affleck movie, something's definitely bleeding. Oh no, man! When I saw that scene, it was probably like one of those times where I actually considered leaving the theater, because I was like, Batman would never do that bullshit. Never. Oh man. But thank you to all the Father's Days out there. Corey, I think we have a little slide to show all the DCEU fathers out there in the world. Can we bring that up? Oh man. Yep. So we're going to be talking a lot of controversial things today. So I think this is going to be a bit of an intense video, and I want you guys to feel open to disagree with us, agree with us, or just give us your thoughts. And all I just say is try to be nice to each other if you guys start going crazy at it in the chat. But I always welcome like a discussion, because that's what this is about. It's always worth the discussion. But happy Father's Day to all the super dads. Look at all, you got Thomas Wayne, you got Henry Allen, all the Alfred. I love that whoever made this picture for Father's Day for the DCU, I really appreciate it, because they even added Alfred there, and he basically is Batman's dad. I mean, it's an important thing to remember. But yeah, oh man, I'm excited. Before we begin, guys, make sure to hit that like, share, and subscribe, and that notification bell so you never miss an episode. And let's get this road to the 2,000 subscribers. We will get there very soon, I have a feeling, because you guys are just, this community that we're building with you has been just extraordinary. We have a lot of people that is just so supportive, and we can't thank you guys enough. It's just been an exciting time. But yeah, that scene is so cringe. But Bat Mom says, thanks to Dadpool for putting up Supergirl Corey's studio together. Yes, we were working on it all last night practically. The Batfleck movie says that was us who made it. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Our logo's in the corner. I didn't even know that. I didn't even see that. Oh gosh, good job, guys. Yeah, I knew you guys posted it. I just saw a lot of people posting it. So hey, man, I love that. Thank you guys for making that. It's a really, really cool video, photo collage and stuff like that. But another thing that, if you haven't heard recently, now that we have passed 1,000 subscribers, we now have a new thing called a super chat, which means you can graciously give us money that will go into making this show better. YouTube takes a portion of it, which is kind of silly, but I mean, whatever. But some of that money that goes to us, we will actually put into getting new lights, new cameras, going into better video production, and doing a lot of really cool projects that we have in mind for the future. So if you feel like, giving the Bat Channel money, helping us get every little bit better that we can, we super appreciate it. And we have little funny video chat things that we'll play for those who donate us money. And also for June 27th, if you guys haven't heard, we are going to use Super Chat as a fundraising event for Feeding America that day. So every dollar that we get after YouTube takes their silly cut, we will donate 100% of it to Feeding America on June 27th. I'm super excited for that. Aren't you, Corey? Like this is part of the reason why we started this channel, is to help, create a cause and like support each other. And like Feeding America we're going to talk a little bit more on June 27th about what Feeding America does. But that to me, this is like such a great feeling that we get to do that.
Absolutely. It's going to be it's a great cause, and I'm excited to be a part of it all. So Next week. Make sure you guys tune in next week. Make sure you guys hit that reminder there. And
we already set up the video. So you can mark it now on your calendars. You can set your reminders for Sunday, June 27th at 6 p.m. Eastern. It's gonna be a really, really cool event. And I'm just super excited for it. Corey, are you ready to get into the show, big fella?
Oh yeah.
Oh, let's do it. First things first, let's talk about what happened this last weekend with the Schumacher cut. Man, I am so happy that this got trending. Over 21,000 tweets, which I think was double from last year, which is phenomenal. Corey, have I talked to you about the Schumacher's cut?
Not too much about it.
So Batman Forever, Joel Schumacher took over for Tim Burton in Batman Forever, and as we know, the Batman and Robin film that we don't like to talk about. And I don't not like Batman and Robin because as a kid, that was like my first big movie that I think I saw in theaters, actually with Dad, and that like started my love for Batman. But as you get older and you realize how just bad that movie is, then I mean, really, it's an Adam West style movie that like kind of honors him, and just kind of that campiness of Batman. So there's nothing wrong with Batman and Robin, but the Joel Schumacher cut of Batman Forever was not as campy. It was going to be a dark, grittier film that we saw in. I think this film came out in 1995. Yeah, 1995 with Val Kilmer, and I started reading, someone released some pictures of the scripts, the old Batman Forever script, and it sounds damn good. They really went into this, psychology of Bruce Wayne and the guilt he has with his parents. And they had this great scene that you can kind of see in that banner picture there with Bruce kind of accepting his life in the darkness with the bat being his symbol of vengeance and things like that. So I hope really there's no reason for this not to get released. Don't you agree, Corey? Like there's nothing stopping HBO Max to release the Schumacher cut. It would literally cost them no money other than some marketing.
Yeah. And we had this conversation before, Trey, that especially with last year being a year that slowed down the movie industry, yeah. Why didn't they do that? We would have loved to see so many different director cuts. It would have been great. It would have been a way to provide new movies that were really already done. All they needed to do was make the additional edits or add the additional scenes, and we would have paid for it too. So in some ways, it really it was a missed opportunity last year for them as well. But I think that they will probably release the Schumacher cut. Well, hopefully. So
I think they will. Like you said, there's no reason not to. I mean, other than maybe financially, they'll have to square something away with Schumacher's estate with his family to maybe give him a percentage. But I mean, it's done. There's no editing needed. It has music. Apparently, it's a completely almost 3-hour cut of the movie. And one of the writers actually saw it recently, and they were like, "I'm in love with it." It's still just a great addition of that film. And why not? Why? I mean, I feel like Warner Brothers and HBO Max now is kind of hesitant to release any director's cut because they're like, oh man, it just proves that we got into the way, interfered with a brilliant edition of this film. But at the same time, it's you also get more money, they did it with Batman v Superman, which hurt the film in the box office. If they didn't cut out that 20-30 minute, scenes that really explain that Lex Luthor was his puppeteer, I truly believe Batman v Superman would have been $1 billion film easily. I think it would have been controversial, but people wouldn't have complained about the story that they did if they actually left it alone. So, I mean, now they can just do the ultimate edition of Batman Forever, It's really that simple. They really just need to do it. But I'm so proud of the RT Schumacher cut and all the other. I think there's 2 other Twitter accounts that run the whole Schumacher cut, trending on Twitter, and congratulations to them for doubling their numbers this year from trending last year for the 26th anniversary this year. It's awesome. I really do hope we get the Schumacher cut because it sounds amazing. Now let's get into our first controversial topic of the day. Corey, go ahead and go to our next slide. I'm sure you guys have heard about this. I showed Corey, told Corey about this by showing him a picture that lovely Zack Snyder sent us.
Are we ready for it?
Well, not sent us. Oh yeah, go ahead, go. Let's get saucy with it. So apparently, in the Harley Quinn season 3, which I'm glad to hear that they are doing it. I didn't actually hear an announcement that they were doing a Harley Quinn season 3, even though it was pretty for certain they were going to do it because season 1 and 2 were successful and people loved them, and I like the Harley Quinn show. I think it's hilarious. But there's this deal that apparently Warner Brothers and like DC Films told the Harley Quinn show people who are working on it that there was a scene that they had to take out. Like there was no way they could use it, and apparently it was Batman going down on Catwoman. And they had a lot of issues with that. Apparently superheroes don't do that and they can't sell toys of that. So Zack Snyder had a response.
Oh, did he have a response?
Oh yeah, he released that picture that you see right there. He says Canon of a nice little Dark Knight doing the deal with,
I tell you what, Trey, that's good for sure. But I didn't see the Superman and the Nikon. That is hilarious.
Oh, it's actually Shazam. Because David F. Sandberg is the director of the Shazam films.
Oh, yeah. I didn't see it. I saw it was covered over the Bat Channel logo up there.
Yeah, sorry.
It's David F. Sandberg.
Yeah, David F. Sandberg, who's the directors for both Shazam films. And the funniest part about it, when you think about it, the fact that David F. Sandberg like played into that, and did the Nikon, and it's him with a camera taking pictures.
Yeah,
that's a little boy who said Shazam to become a man superhero, and he's watching this moment between Batman and Catwoman.
I have to say this, Kevin. That's why his mask has the face opening.
Oh, no. Hey, someone actually said that. Like one news like late night show host actually said, like, why do you think Batman has everything covered but his mouth? And it's like, this is just such a, let us know in the comment section, like, what do you think about Warner Brothers' decision of like, or DC Films, I think it technically was. This was all in the Hollywood Reporter where they said they couldn't have the scene. I almost feel like it was publicity. Like they wanted to talk, because this makes absolutely no freaking sense.
I guess if you could explain that a little bit more. Obviously, moving this last week, I wasn't too in the loop with everything. So they basically said that in Harley Quinn, they had to take out that scene, right?
Yeah,
and that was specifically DC that said that.
I think it was technically DC Films who said, or like it was the DC team, which is in the end ran by Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers Entertainment.
That to me is super interesting because this Harley Quinn show is already a little bit more on the edgier side. And I immediately say, well, what about hashtag Batdick?
Yes.
What
in the Batman in DC Comics, Batman Damned #1 by Brian Azzarello and oh gosh, I'm totally spacing the writer's name. There was a very controversial moment in the very first prints of the comics, which I have it. I think first I'll finish this. In the very first print, they clearly show Batman's penis in it. Excuse me for my language. This is an adult show for right now. So if you have any kids around, you might want to have them leave because it's about to get a little bit on the R-rated side of this. But at the same time,
hashtag bat dicks. Let's make that good.
Hashtag bat dicks. Yeah. The Batfleck movie says it's hypocritical of them. They can show Bruce's penis, etc., but he can't go down on her on an adult animated show. Exactly. And it's like, here's the issue. So yeah, in the Batman Damned, they showed his penis. In the freaking Batman Killing Joke, this to me was more of a wrong decision. They had Batman, he sleeps with Barbara Gordon. James Gordon's daughter, Batgirl, he sleeps with her, and Batman would never. And well, it's always funny, like when people say my hero would never do that, because I argue that, like, why wouldn't they do that? That was a moment where I felt like that was wrong. That was a mentor taking advantage in a way of his student, in a really weird way. And plus, it was just not very, like, Batman having sex with Catwoman. Go ahead and go to the next slide, Corey. It's happened. Okay. Like, it's in the comics everywhere. They have clearly had sex, and very, well, very, 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 passionate, we'll say. Very passionate. But your Bat mom is blushing. Oh no, Dad. Sorry, Mom. I know. Mom, put some headphones on. You can watch anything else right now, but you're gonna hear some things you probably don't want to hear right now.
So is this true, Trey?
Ivy and Harley go down in the Harley Quinn. Yeah, yeah. So this is true, Corey. I know you haven't seen it because I don't think you had the DC Universe app when it first came out.
No,
because there was rumors from the moment it started that it was going to be, canceled, and it was going to be into something else from like the get-go. So a lot of people didn't get the DC Universe. But yeah, Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy have a lesbian relationship. So it's like, okay, so that's okay. But Batman going down on Catwoman because you want to sell Batman toys, yet you sell Joker toys, and yet Joker kills people for fun. So, like, what's the issue here? What's the problem? Not only that, it's a show for adults. So what kids are watching it, other than their parents might be letting them, which questionable at that moment. But like, what I'm so confused on what the issue with any of that is. It almost feels, like I said, it almost feels like a publicity stunt. So that way, when people were like trending, Batman goes down on Catwoman kind of thing, it's like, it's going to be in the show now. I guarantee. Well, I don't guarantee. I mean, who knows what Warner Brothers is thinking, but like, I almost wonder, season 3 comes out, you'll see that scene, it just makes no sense not to have it. I mean, they even reference that Batman has sex with bats in the first season of the show. You constantly see like Harley Quinn kind of in the nude a bit every now and then. Yeah, and everyone's sleeping with each other. I think they even reference that Catwoman has sex with Batman in that show. So it's not unknown. So it's kind of silly that they made such a big deal about it. And it almost made me wonder. I talked about this on Sil Abdul's show when I was streaming with him on Thursday. It seems weird that Grace Randolph kind of talked about the Batman film with Matt Reeves and saying that there was a rumor coming out that the movie was so dark and Batman has like serious mental health issues that the executive producers at Warner Brothers were like, we can't have Batman have mental health issues because we have to sell toys. She said the reason was toys. And when this story came out through the Hollywood Reporter, it makes me wonder, maybe she heard like the reasoning for the wrong thing, because anyone who says like Batman doesn't have mental health problems is just shut up. Just shut up. The fact that like he's in a bat suit because his parents were murdered in front of his eyes at the age of 10 simply suggests right there that the guy has mental health issues. He's been battling it with his whole life. It's that theme of him confronting those issues and using it honestly in anger and vengeance to go after these criminals every night. It puts him on this mission, this endless mission that he just stays focused on and never lose sight of it. It's why one of the reasons why I love Batman is just that he just never gives up, and it's because of that anger he has. He's constantly going to figure out how he can make his city a better place and make sure it never happens to anyone else. It just doesn't always happen, that way. Sometimes it doesn't work out in his favor. But like, what's the issue? Geek Studio says Talia dragged Batman to have sex with him and Talia got pregnant, had Damian. Exactly. Yeah. They're basically, she drugs Batman. I mean, that's
yikes.
Rape.
Yeah. Yikes.
I mean, I don't know if, Batman probably would have said no, but I don't know. He's kind of a player. who knows? That's I don't know. Maybe that's a discussion for another time. Geeks, the Affleck movie says Geeks is exactly. It's okay for Batman to get raped by Talia, but he can't do the deed on Catwoman. You know, it just. I think right there, it's probably Walter Hamada or Jeff Johns who made the decision. They're just upset that they never get into those situations. System Failure 3 says if we were rich, we would be Batman. We're all rich. We're all Batman. Anyways,
but yeah, just looking at your slideshow, man, they have a lot of stuff. You're right.
Yeah, and so yeah, that's the scene from Killing Joke where, you know, it's just one of those scenes. They allow these other things. I mean, even Harley Quinn, yeah, in the Batman animated series Harley Quinn film that they did recently with Bruce Timm, it's very referenced that Harley Quinn has sex with Nightwing, and I think she even has sex with Deathstroke. No, sorry, not Deathstroke. Deadshot in the Assault on Arkham film, that animated film that they did. So it's like, to me, that's why it's like so weird. Like, what's the issue? Like, you've been okay with it every step of the way. You're okay with it in your comics. You're okay with it on other animated films. You're okay with it. Honestly, I mean, hell, Batman Forever. Nicole Kidman's character, Miranda Chase, I think is her name. Meridian Chase. She's like all over Batman. She's basically like, take me, you know, and he's just like, I don't blend in at a family picnic. Oh man, you know, it's just like one of those scenes. Like, what the hell is the issue? You know, like what's like, talk to us. Let's sit on the couch. What's the problem? Why won't you allow this? Yeah, you know, it's just a silly reason that makes zero effing sense. But hey, it's Warner Brothers, it's DC. What does make sense anymore to these idiots? I don't know. You know? But Corey, let's go on and get into our next portion of our show with the Flash updates, which is going to lead into kind of our getting into our more controversial topic of, you know, is the SnyderVerse canon. So the Flash updates, as you've heard us say before constantly on the show, this movie is a never ending and changing beast. It's constantly evolving. And the question that has always been on all of our minds is, you know, is the SnyderVerse canon? And this film, I really feel like this film is going to affect that question and give us probably a fairly complete answer, you know, or I should say defining answer. And that's why it's kind of like, this is why I'm like so focused and like interested in what happens on the Flash film, because it really could completely wipe out the Snyderverse, or it can leave us some hope that there could be something. I don't think it's gonna be full out like Ezra knows about Darkseid and things like that and saved the Justice League. I don't know if that will happen. I think we'll get more information as that goes on. But I guess that's my first question I should have for you guys as we start talking about the Flash movie is, do you think Ezra Miller's Barry Allen is aware that he ran back in time to save the Justice League after they failed, and, you know, the mother boxes unite into the Trinity and become a singular and, you know, destroy the world, you know? And I mean, Steppenwolf and Darkseid win. You know, do you think he's aware of that? Do you think the Justice League is aware of that? And third question, do you think he's possibly aware of that in this movie? It's kind of interesting stuff. But let's go ahead and get into our next slide as we have people answer that. Because here's we're getting some set photos from London. Actually, hey, I think Mark, you're from London, right? Are you anywhere near where the Flash film is being filmed? Like, can you like get on set and see what's going on and give us some intel? You know, maybe just go up to Andy Muschietti, and well, you probably won't be able to get up to him. You probably have security around him, but maybe just shout out like, hey, is the SnyderVerse canon? Is it connected? Because here's some interesting things. First, let's as DC fans and geeks right now, let's just kind of geek out for a moment. First off, we got Barry Allen, Ezra Miller's character. If you notice on his index finger, he has the Flash ring that has his suit in it. that's super cool. Like, we're finally getting a little look of that. You know, as a comic book fan, and I know my brother-in-law is going to go crazy on that Fresto Games. You know, he loves the Flash. So for him, I know this is going to be a really exciting thing. You can tell they actually decided to go back kind of that similar haircut that he had in Justice League. I'd be curious to see how long it's been in this Flash film since the Justice League film. Zack Snyder's Justice League, maybe, whatever, it depends. But here he is with Kiersey Clemens, who plays Iris West. And there's a little Wonder Woman BS cameo on a bus that says she supports like Central City Children Funding, something like that. Kind of a silly cameo. I mean, to me, that makes me wonder, okay, are they kind of suggesting, obviously Wonder Woman's kind of taking that public stance in the world now, but are the Amazons going to start getting involved? As we kind of see in some comic book storylines and some animated shows, the Amazons kind of become a part of our society, and it's kind of like an open world government between the Atlanteans, the Amazons, and the world. So that could be kind of interesting. But you also see a really cool, expensive car, which usually tells you that Bruce Wayne is around. And there we got our first look as Michael Keaton returning as Bruce Wayne from his 1989-1992 run as Batman, which he's looking good. He's looking good. I mean, I feel like, Corey, maybe you can give me a little bit of an idea, buddy. Michael Keaton. Is this fair to do? I don't know if it's fair. Do you want to be a little, you want to do some like hot takes? You want to get a little saucy about it, or you got your mute on?
Yeah, sure. Let's go for it. What you got?
For it? Okay, what did you think of Michael Keaton as Batman?
I liked him as Batman. I have to be honest.
Your generation, right? Like,
yes.
How old were you when the first one came out?
Oh man, I was young. I loved Michael Keaton as Batman. I almost recall I was a little upset that Michael Keaton didn't continue as Batman into the other movies when they started bringing in bat nipples and so on. So I can't mess with Michael Keaton as Batman. Now, don't get me wrong, Ben Affleck is the best Batman in my opinion. Okay. I'm trying to think what I would say. You
can go for it. I mean, you're amongst I would say a fairly respectful community.
No, I know that. I'm trying to think for a second, and to me, Ben Affleck is the perfect Batman and Bruce Wayne. So he nails both of them down. Yeah. So I'm trying to think of, obviously the early 90s was, it was a tough time. It was, it was for movies, things were a little bit more cheesier. So I still liked Michael Keaton as Batman. I don't know. I don't know if he was necessarily. I'm not sure if he was lacking in the Bruce Wayne side of things for me, or if he was. Yeah, I don't know what would bring him lower per se for Ben Affleck, but yes, I did appreciate him as Batman.
So here, and I think that's a completely fair thing to say. Like, I remember as a kid, I wasn't born yet until I was born right before Batman Forever. I think a year before Batman Forever. So technically, my Batman at the time was like George Clooney, and I grew up with like Christian Bale as Batman. But as a kid, in between watching, Batman Forever at the time and Batman and Robin, the other films I could go to were obviously the Adam West one and Michael Keaton. And I would say out of those four, Michael Keaton he was Batman at that time until Christian Bale took over. And here's how I feel about Keaton. Now that I've immersed myself more into the comic book world, and because of you, partly, Corey, because after, you got me my first comic after Batman v Superman. That's like really, I mean, I was always a Batman fan, but I only watched the movies practically and the shows at that time. It was you who got me in the comics, I think shortly after Batman v Superman. And that's like when I started like reading everything from, you know, the old golden, silver, you know, bronze age, you know, even Rebirth, New 52, all that good stuff. And when you start to learn more about who Batman is as a character, the best way I can explain Keaton's Batman is he's a nostalgic Batman, because he was the one that really kind of set it was from campy Batman, which Batman was never really campy. In the comics, he was kind of in the Silver Age because of Adam West, because the Adam West show was so successful in the 60s. They kind of changed him to kind of fit what he was on screen. And then it was kind of Denny O'Neil, rest in peace, who kind of brought him back to kind of those darker roots. And that's kind of the Batman we got, which kind of led us to that Michael Keane. That Michael Keane film was like a real stretch. They were really going for it with Tim Burton, who kind of gave Gotham City this kind of new, you know, essence to it, kind of made this live character of Gotham City, which was brilliant to do. But
you know what, Trey? I think you hit the nail on the head right there, because for me, you're right. Michael Keane was my Batman growing up. Yeah. So similar to, I'm sure how, you know, Dad, you know, Adam West is Batman to him. So they were kind of the, you know, you didn't know who Batman was. My first, you know, take on Batman was clearly Michael Keane, Dad's Adam West, and then yours. You said George Clooney was your first, or?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, George Clooney was really my first Batman that I ever like really remember as like my first Batman movie. Adam West was so funny. Hey man, Adam West is a goat. You know, I mean, you have to think about Adam West was like the first person that, other than George Reeves with Superman, back in like the 50s and 40s, I think is when he was doing that show. It was Adam West who really took superheroes into a whole new level that I think personally made it possible for superhero movies to come out, which led into Christopher Reeve having his run in that amazing Superman film that Richard Donner did, and then into Michael Keane's Batman. And that's where I say, like, when I watch the Michael Keane Batman films, I always laugh. Here's what makes me laugh, and I'm sure a lot of you guys will maybe agree. Remember when like Batman v Superman came out, and though like people agreed Ben Affleck was an incredible Batman and Bruce Wayne, he really combines those two characters perfectly. The one thing that people were beating him up, and I think more beating up Zack Snyder about, was how Batman killed. And honestly, to me as a Batman fan, it never occurred to me at that moment, other than, you know, when you read in the comics, Batman doesn't kill. Usually, normally in the comics, he doesn't kill. On some other Earths, he does, and uses guns and things like that. I mean, back in the old Golden Age, he did use guns and kill people. But for the most part, in the comics, Batman has the moral code, right? And Christian Bale made that whole big, you know, his Batman and the Nolan trilogy really made this big stink about no guns, no killing kind of thing. And when Ben Affleck's Batman came out, people just started tearing apart, like, oh my God, he used a gun, he shot people. And it became such a big debate that Batman just does not kill. And then I started like thinking about it shortly after 2016, and I started watching all the Batman films, and I'm just looking at him like, but Batman's killing a lot of people in these films. In Michael Keaton's Batman film, I think Michael Keaton technically has the kill count lead out of all the Batman when he blew up Ace Chemicals, you know, with all the Joker henchmen in it. He killed Joker, and that Jack Nicholson died because of him, you know, tying him up with a gargoyle. And in Batman Returns, and here's why I say Michael Keane, in my opinion, while I love the nostalgic Batman because he is really the one that set Batman on a path to be a cinematic stronghold, you know, because of the success of the 1989 Batman, and then Batman Returns was a huge success. I can only imagine what would have been the Batman third film that Tim Burton was working on if Michael Keane decided to stay. But in the Batman Returns with the Penguin, he full on kills a dude and smiles about it. Like, there's a clown on Penguin's henchman that he sticks a bomb in his belt and then pushes him in the sewers and boom, and he smiled about it. And when you think about like this constant, like, oh, Batman can't kill, Batman's just not a murderer. And all of a sudden you're like, well, then how the hell do you explain that? Like, you can't, if you have that problem, you have to say that about every single Batman. You have to say it about Batman Forever with Val Kilmer throwing the coins up to make Two-Face fall to his death. Where's that? And honestly, when you think about it even further, Christian Bale's Batman in the Nolan trilogy, you constantly get this, I don't kill, like I will never take a life. It's that whole debate in Joker and, with even Ra's al Ghul. And yet he's definitely the cause of why Ra's al Ghul dies. He's definitely the cause of why Harvey Dent dies. I mean, he pushes them off the building to save a kid. He clearly killed Harvey Dent. And in Dark Knight Rises, it goes a little bit further where he's actually using guns on his bat, plane, helicopter thing, and shooting up the cars to where Talia al Ghul, hits through the bridge thing and crushes herself. So, I mean, you have to ask yourself, that was technically him who caused that. You can't just be like, oh, but he was just, they sleep. They fell asleep when I punched him in the head so hard and his neck crushed. Like what? Like, Batman kills, okay? Like, he just, in all the films so far, I think technically the only film where Batman hasn't killed, or at least has like a scientifically, yeah, that was a kill, was actually, oh gosh, Batman and Robin, technically? Because sorry, go ahead.
No, you can finish your thought there.
Well, I was going to say, some people are going to be like, well, Adam West never killed. This is fair. I heard one person debate me on it, and they actually brought up a good point, even though I think it's an unfair point. But when the guys are moisturized, from the Penguin's like little solution thing, and when Batman hits them, they turn into antimatter, and they technically die. Technically, that wasn't Batman's fault, but if you want to get like just blunt and just be like, he hit them, therefore it caused a chemical reaction that those characters died, so therefore Batman killed them. I'll leave that debate up to you guys, but we'll just say, for the sake of saying it, Adam West killed people. Okay, so he saved the ducks, though. He saved the ducks from the bomb. That's all that matters. So where are you going to say, Corey?
No, I hear you, and it doesn't bother me that Batman kills people. In some ways, it makes sense to me. And I don't have an issue with it. I do want to say another saucy thing though, while we're on Keane's Batman. Michael Gough is the best Alfred as well.
Oh my gosh, Michael Gough. See, bro, now you're bringing me back to nostalgicness again. Okay. I can never pick who's the best Alfred. I just can't, because each Alfred had something that was like beautiful, and like they all brought a certain element to Alfred that I don't think anyone has fully. Like, if we could take pieces of each Alfred cinematically and put it into one character, you nailed it. Because I really loved the relationship that Christian Bale and Michael Caine had as their Batman and Alfred. But you kind of, what though? Jeremy Irons kind of did a bit of both of that. And he was funny. He had a great relationship with Affleck. I mean, really, you only got to see him in Batman v Superman and in Zack Snyder's Justice League, and they had a great chemistry. And not only that, it was awesome to see an Alfred who was hands-on, and you could kind of get a sense that, through some, if you look at some of the comic book origins of Alfred Pennyworth, he's been in the military, he's been an actor, and you could kind of get a sense through how Zack directed Jeremy Irons that there was a bit of an element on every side of it. Now, was he a proper fellow as much as Michael Gough? I'll leave that up to you. But I mean, every Alfred has been wonderful. The Affleck movie says Batman's been killing since 1939. Yeah, in the original comics, he hung people and snapped necks. That is, yeah, exactly. It is so true. You can't deny it. Breezy Beast, what's up? So glad you're here, man. Take that Superman shirt off. You don't even watch Superman and Lois. So they're calling you out.
They are calling me out, but I do have to say one thing. So for me, I am very particular in the way I like to watch shows. My preference now, and it's bad because Netflix has made a lot of us this way, but I like to wait for the show to come to an end and then watch it all the way through. So like currently, I like to binge watch it. Like currently right now I'm watching, and I don't like to mix shows at the same time. I like to stay with one series the entire way through. So like I know you and Sarah, you guys are watching like this show and that show and Lucifer and that show and a lot of different shows. I like to stay with one show the entire way through. So if I'm watching a show, I'm watching that show every night, every weekend until I'm done with the series, and then I move on. So currently right now, like I said, I'm back on Smallville. I am super excited to check out Superman and Lois, though, when it comes out. Or not that, when I get to it. And I would say this, reason being is there's been a lot of shows that have caused issues for me. And the most recent one is Manifest. I absolutely love the show Manifest. Yeah. They just finished their 3rd season, and now there's rumors that it may be canceled. So, like it left on a crazy cliffhanger, and I'm like, oh my God, how do you finish that season and that's it, that's all that comes. So I don't know if NBC has officially canceled it yet, but I know there's rumors and talks that are hoping that Netflix comes to save the day again. So
hey man, Netflix is where it's at. They save thank God that they saved the Lucifer show, because Lucifer is actually really great, and when you think about it, that's DC Comics right there. That's DC IP right there. And I mean, Netflix is doing another one with the Sandman. So I mean, they have so much good stuff. I haven't seen the new DC show that Netflix has. It's like Tooth something.
So, and I should also say the census is out. The majority of our super fans are loving Superman and Lois. But the release of the Snyder Cut guy said Superman and Lois, I won't watch it. So I'm definitely curious why he won't watch it. And Mom too. Manifest.
I'd be curious about that too, because I've heard from a few people. I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't seen Superman and Lois either. I want to. I'm kind of like Corey at this moment, where I kind of just want to binge through it all. Like I've been doing that with like all the CW shows. I haven't even watched. I'm so far behind on The Flash, and like Black Lightning I know is like done now, and I have no idea what's going on in Supergirl, and so I'm like so behind. I haven't even watched Batwoman. I saw season 1 and just haven't started on season 2 yet, so I'm like so behind when it comes to all that stuff. I just tend to notice, for me, it's easier for the amount of shows that Sarah and I watch. It's best to just binge through one show, so that way I don't get my stories mixed about what's going on. Sweet Tooth. Yeah, Geek Studio said Sweet Tooth. That's right. Has anyone watched Sweet Tooth? What's the opinion on it? I started the first episode of Jupiter Legacy, and when I heard, I was kind of interested. The first episode was like great, other than there was like a dark side ripoff character, which I know nothing about Jupiter Legacy comics. But then when I like started episode 2 and I heard they canceled it, I was like, well, that's it. I'm not watching that, which I heard was a good decision, because a lot of people didn't like it after episode 1. But yeah, so has Release the Snyder Cut guy talked about that?
Not yet, but it's tough, right? It's a struggle, like I think of you watching Lost, back then, and man, talk about the struggle back then, trying to keep up with a show like Lost before, streaming services came.
I gave up on Lost
together. man.
I think because I was like in middle school when that show came out, and I was like, I got to like season 7, I think. I can't remember how many seasons. I got to like the second to last season, and I remember there was just like a thing that like happened, and I was like, how the hell did we get here? Like, I give up. Like, I can't keep up with this show. But the Release of Snyder Cut guy says, I prefer. Oh, I think I know. So you prefer Man of Steel Henry Cavill. Hey, that's fair. I mean, here's one thing I would tell you about that Release the Snyder guy. Henry Cavill's an amazing Superman, right? Like he's I'll say it. I think he's the best Superman we've ever had cinematically and probably ever. I mean, Christopher Reeve always has like a spot in my heart because it's Christopher Reeve, right? Like that dude just embodied Superman on and off the screen. So, I mean, I always love Christopher Reeve, but Henry Cavill, in terms of who Superman is as a character and everything about that, I think does an incredible job. And it really is a damn shame that they have not made a Man of Steel 2 solo sequel. And they need to make Man of Tomorrow. It needs to happen. I don't care what it takes. Give that man his freaking franchise for Superman. He has said he wanted to play it for like 10 films. There was like an interview like very quickly after Man of Steel came out where he's like, I want to play Superman for as long as I can. We're wasting him. Just make Man of Tomorrow, right? But let's go ahead and get back into the Flash updates. One thing I wanted to talk about in particular was Sasha Calais, who's playing Supergirl, which is interesting because I know a lot of people are like, oh, she's going to be Kara El. And yet when they announced her with Andy Muschietti doing that really cool, very touching video for her, which so happy for her. I mean, this really is a role of a lifetime. I mean, it's Supergirl, right? We saw what it did for Melissa Benoist, I believe. It's just such a, who doesn't want that amazing role? And you could tell she's taking it very seriously. I mean, it teared her up. She's so excited to play this role, and I wish her all the best in it. But here was what's interesting. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, she's going to be playing Kara El, yet we got some set photos from The Flash in London. Corey, go ahead and go to the next slide. So Kara El, right, normally has, Corey, you would probably know better than I because you're a Superman guy, blonde hair and a skirt. This Supergirl is short black hair and the red shoulders, which is very similar to a particular Supergirl from a multiverse, I believe in Injustice multiverse, Laura Lane Kent. That's interesting, right? So I'm not sure she is playing. Let me know in the comment section. What do you guys think? Is she playing Kara El or is she playing Laura Lane Kent? I've seen a lot of pictures where everyone's like really picking this thing apart. But I will say she looks pretty good in the suit. Other than I'll be honest with you guys. You guys are probably not gonna like for me to say this. I'm not a huge fan of the suit. And it's simply because of the ab thing looks weird. It doesn't look like natural abs. And I'm not saying, I mean, I'm sure it's like muscle padding that they give in there to kind of tone it and define it a little better. But whoever made it awkward. It's just like, it's not natural looking. It doesn't like fit her the way it should. It's just not natural abs looking. But here's one thing, Corey, before we get into the thing I really want to get into about Sasha Calais, what do you think of the suit?
I like it. Obviously, the first thing that I notice is the S, it stands for hope, looks very similar to a recent one. But I also want to say this too. After you set this up for me, I didn't see any of these photos. This is my first take at it, and I'm actually really wondering if this is Laura Lane Kent. And in some ways, I'm going to say it is. And if you recall, in the Zack Snyder's Justice League, there was a certain box, a pregnancy test. In the Zack Snyder Justice League. So I think this could be Laura Lane Kent, but I think that this might be connecting the Zack Snyder Justice League.
Interesting. So you wow, I didn't know you were going to say that. Let's put a bookmark on that thought for a second, because you kind of this is completely fine. I'm glad you had that thought.
I threw a curveball at you. I know what your show is supposed to be, but
we're going along a certain path, and I'm trying to get into this conversation with people. But Geek Series says I think it's Kara, and for anyone Corey thinks it's canon, right? You're saying it's basically what this whole show is going to be about is the SnyderVerse canon. You think this is proof that the SnyderVerse is canon?
100% now.
Okay, so I know some people are gonna be like, bullshit. I call bullshit, and I'm gonna play this is gonna be interesting, Corey. Let's kind of play a bit of a debate game, if you will, with me. As you know, you and I both probably could play both sides, but in this case, I'm gonna play that it's not so much canon. Okay, that it's not really canon. But let's kind of hash this out together and have this kind of fun little discussion, and I'm going to let you say your piece. I'm going to say my piece, kind of thing. So let's go ahead and get into the next slide. So yes, one of the things I wanted to point out was her emblem is very similar to the Batman v Superman emblem, and also kind of Zack Snyder's Justice League when it goes black and white, or is it black and silver technically. Now here's the thing, Corey, I want you to stare really closely to her emblem and then go to Henry Cavill's. Would you say they're 100% the same?
They're close, but not 100%.
But not 100%. What are you noticing as the difference?
Obviously, the gold. There's a different gold inlay in there for sure. The S is pretty darn close, though.
Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot, and I apologize that I'm doing that. I'm doing that for a reason. So, as you can tell, you have already said it's not 100% the same. Go to the next picture real quick. Oh, well, sorry, this was my bad. This was me. I was constantly go into a bit of a further debate about furthering your side, Corey, where you're saying it's canon. Okay, so, and we're talking about the SnyderVerse canon to the future DCEU films. Recently, we learned Aquaman, this 2 is going to be Aquaman and the Last Kingdom. We know that this is an idea that's pulled from Zack Snyder's original plans for Justice League 2, because Aquaman and Mera were supposed to have a battle with the Lost Kingdom to try to unite them against Darkseid's army. So that's an interesting thing that James Wan is pulling that idea. Very interesting, right? I think that's worth noting. But so here I am. It's kind of weird, right? I'm kind of setting Corey up for the win right now. I'm about to take it all down. Okay, so now that I've given you a little bit of extra ammo there, Corey, you kind of know that James Wan is taking an idea that Zack had with the Lost Kingdom. Let's go to the next slide now. I'm going to give you a little more ammo. I'm going to put me in the corner. You're going to put Bay in the corner. Okay, you have Kiersey Clemens in the Flash film. Kiersey Clemens plays Iris West. Iris West was not in the 2017 Justice League film, which we've constantly heard from Zack Snyder that DC and Warner Brothers don't consider his film canon. They consider it Elseworlds. And not only that, Justice League is clearly the film that they're moving on with. Now, here's another interesting thing. If that was so, then Andy Muschietti could have literally hired any person he wanted for Iris West, but yet he chose Kiersey Clemens. So, Corey, I'm giving you, as you can already tell, I'm putting myself in the corner.
I'm curious what you have up your sleeve, though. That's
well, it's almost kind of like I'm setting you up, but I'm also kind of setting you up for failure in a way.
I know. Yeah.
And honestly, like I said, people can disagree with me or not agree. Like I said, in this case, I will not lie to you guys and say I'm kind of in the middle. I'm not really sure what to think about it. Corey, go ahead and go to the next slide. Let's go back to Supergirl's logo.
Okay. First, are James Wan and Zack, are they friends?
That's a tough question. I'll put it this way, Geek Studios. I think Zack Snyder is like one of those people that anyone can be a friend with. I mean, I think he's just the nicest guy in the world. Are they like close working buddies? I'm not sure. I don't know if that is true. Because if anything, we know James Wan and Walter Hamada are really close together, and we know the type of person Hamada is. I mean, he's a dick. Hoping he gets fired. You know, he should have backed up Ray Fisher a long time ago, which we'll go into that. But are they friends? I think they respect each other. I think it's two colleagues who really respect their craft and the other person's artistry as a director. And not only that, I think they've had many conversations. You have to remember this was Zack's overall laying plan on the DCEU of how all the other characters kind of fit into where the Justice League was going in part 2 and part 3. So let's go ahead and get into this Supergirl logo, Corey. Great questions, Geek Studios. Okay, go ahead and so pretty close, right? You said, you got a similar emblem. It's pretty darn close. Now, you even see something very interesting, Corey, in the middle of the S. It's Kryptonian language. I don't know if you know this, but in the Man of Steel special features on the DVD, they actually talked about Zack had a professional, I think her name was Dr. Christine Scherer, something like that, make a Kryptonian language for the Man of Steel film. So you could actually read the Kryptonian language. It's a real language now, at least in what she made. Someone asked her on Twitter if this is the same exact emblem and Kryptonian language as Henry Cavill's. And she said, it's Kryptonian language for sure. She did confirm that, but it's not the same. It's not the same phrase that's being used, which I believe she went on to say that Henry Cavill's Kryptonian phrase was from a Joseph Campbell poem or something like that, where it kind of talks about being alienated and trying to be a part of society. It kind of supposed to represent who Superman is as a person. But she says this is not the same phrase. So it's something different. Now you can also tell, Corey, that the S, the bottom tail of the S is very different from Henry Cavill's, right? It goes back up to kind of the fattier part of the S. And her ending triangle, the gold triangle, is bigger than Cavill's. So it's not the same crest. And the phrase on it is different. So while it is the same Kryptonian language, multiverse-wise, there's something different going on here. So it's not quite. Do you now see that, Corey, out of curiosity?
Yeah, I do see that, what you're saying, for sure. So now that I'm taking a closer look, but
it's still pretty close, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people think there was Patty Jenkins, who was the director for the Wonder Woman films. She did an interview shortly before Wonder Woman 1984 came out, where people had asked her, what do you consider canon? And people asked, is that the 2017 Justice League film? And she said, I don't think anyone considers that film canon. Now, that's an interesting thing to say, right? Because if Warner Brothers, that we've heard from Zack Snyder on multiple interviews, he has constantly said, they don't consider my film canon. My film's not canon. My film's not canon. Well, if Zack Snyder is constantly saying, yeah, my film is not canon, shouldn't we just take him at his word for that? How do you feel about that, Corey?
You know, I know what you're saying, and I know what you're referring to about him saying that specifically the Zack Snyder Justice League isn't canon. The issue with that, then, for me, would be that then they need to change the characters up. In my opinion, they can't be using the same Aquaman. They can't be using the same
Wonder Woman, same
Wonder
Flash,
Woman. Exactly,
same Iris
because
West.
because in Aquaman, they actually refer to, the battle in Justice League with Aquaman. So
with Steppenwolf and stuff like that, right?
Yes. Yeah. So then I guess the question could be which Justice League is canon? Is Justice League, or is it Zack Snyder's Justice League? And I would have to say that it's still Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I know there's a lot of, evidence that you could push against me, but the characters that they're using being the same, that refers to me. Now, the one thing that could completely mess that up is obviously the Flash. And obviously they could be the same characters, but in different multiverses and things like that could really, screw us up. But
yeah. So here's what's interesting about all of that. Ann Sarnoff, who is the CEO of Warner Media, releasing our guy says, Zack says it's not canon, but can it be? We'll talk about that. So Ann Sarnoff, who sucks, she did the stupidest thing on the entire planet, as you guys already know about, where Zack Snyder's Justice League wasn't even out for 3 days. And she came out with an article that was already pre-written. So, they had this interview before the film even frickin' came out, and said, nope, this is Zack's, going away gift to his fans, to everyone who fought for the Snyder Cut. Move on. They won't release the air cut. We won't do this. We won't do that. Move the hell on. Now, if you have the Warner Media CEO person who is in charge of Walter Hamada and Toby Emmerich, who are running the DC Films department and are greenlighting what can be made, what scripts can be used, and have to approve every storyline that's being used in the films, if they are saying that, no, it's not canon, like, move on. This literally was just a thing for you guys. Shut the hell up and move on. Now, Corey, if you have those 3 top dogs, Walter Hamada, Ann Sarnoff, Toby M. Dick, if all 3 of them are saying, no, it's not canon, who do you think can make it canon?
Discovery.
Corey's like, just throws in the fucking towel. He's just like, yeah, no, I'm just kidding. No, hey, now see here. So now that I kind of presented a case against you of like, okay, yeah, you're saying we have the characters from Zack Snyder's Justice League. Well, technically, Justice League had some of the characters. The only thing that really sets us apart is Iris West. And
yes.
But the part that also sucks is that Henry Allen, who was in Zack Snyder's Justice League and in Justice League, the same actor's not playing that guy. And they actually said that was because of scheduling issues. I'm not sure if that's true. I mean, they always say scheduling issues when an actor can't come back, right? Sometimes it's because they don't want him back, or they don't want to continue, or they want a different take on that actor. So they went with someone else who I can't remember his name. I think he was in Office Space. Dad would know who the guy is. So now that I presented this case that says, okay, the 3 top dogs are telling you it's not canon. Move on, Corey. And not only that, in Aquaman, let's be honest about Aquaman, and we'll kind of go through this a little bit. Aquaman, in a weird way, didn't really kind of connect to any of them. It was kind of its own thing, because there was one detail in Aquaman that really, I mean, unless if Mira was lying, she says her parents died in a war and that Queen Atlanta took her in. Now, in the Aquaman film, her father is there throughout the entire film. He's a major character. Did she lie to Aquaman? It's weird. It's a weird conversation. And yeah, and no accent. She had, in Justice League, she had a bit of an English accent, kind of light on that. She was English light beer. And in Zack Snyder's Justice League, she was Lord of the Rings English, very heavy on the English. And Aquaman, she's like American, So, I mean, really, you have to ask yourself, what the hell is going on there in Aquaman? Clearly, James Wan just either didn't care to watch Justice League on any of them and just said, this is what I'm doing. Hope you guys have fun. I mean, because they're going to have to explain that, right? Like, let's say if they did restore the Snyderverse, is she going to go back to having a major English accent? So now that we kind of presented these different things here, Wonder Woman 1984, here's a great kind of counter argument with you, Corey. Wonder Woman 1984. Is it possible? And like you said, we'll talk about this when we do our awesome like Wonder Woman 1984 review sometime. Is Wonder Woman 1984 any way possible to connect to the Snyderverse, to the DCEU? What would you say, Corey?
Ask that question one more time.
Can Wonder Woman 1984 in any way connect to the Snyderverse? And it's a bit of a trick question. I apologize. At least in my opinion, it's a trick question. I know I'm putting you on the spot. I feel bad. I'm just trying to
think. I'm trying to think.
Because here's a good thing.
Woman, yeah.
Here's what I'll say, and I don't mean to interrupt you. Right now, like I'm trying to play on the opposite side for a reason, because I'm trying to present a case, because I knew to you it's just freaking canon, right? Because it has to be, it needs to be, and you have great reasons why it is canon. I'm just throwing some really strong arguments about why it's not canon, because then I'm going to show you when I jump back to the side on yours, or at least kind of in the middle, because we really won't know until the Flash film comes out. Is I want to show you how it can be canon, why Warner Brothers' reason is bullshit.
Yeah, I would say Wonder Woman 1984 could be potentially not a canon film of Zack Snyder's Justice League, or the Snyderverse. But technically, I can't really I can't keep going for the same actress, side of things. I guess what.
It's a fair statement with the characters.
No, I think we can all agree that it's insane right now in the DC universe. But like you mentioned earlier, the Iris West being the same actress, that to me is probably one of the biggest things now in some ways, that she wasn't even in Justice League, and now she's in the Flash movie. So
it makes the Flash film very interesting, right? It's almost genius, and it could be malicious in a way, or maybe.
And to be honest with you, that's what I'm actually even more worried about now. I'm worried that by having her there now, this is going to be what completely changes everything up.
Well, not just that, but it could be the thing that, gets the Snyder community to watch the film, because if Kiersey Clemons is in it, she wasn't in Justice League. Mm-hmm. So why is she still Iris West? Unless if Ezra Miller went up to bat for her and said, this needs to be my Iris West, because Ezra has some power, as the star actor. He has some power to say who's going to be his co-star, or who he wants at least. And Andy Muschietti's going to take it under advisement. But DC would still have to approve who they want, as the acting choice or the casting role. So here's what I'll say. Wonder Woman 1984 absolutely cannot be canon. And the reason why I say that is the simple fact that in the scene with Batman v Superman, she says, I was away from mankind for over 100 years, almost 100 years. I abandoned them because they could not make a world where they could stand together. And yet here she is in the 80s, where people are clearly seeing her on television. She's saving people every day in Washington, D.C. And yet, and she throws, her tiara, at the cameras as if it wasn't recording. Like that they wouldn't see that there was a girl fighting for 3 minutes and then she destroys it. So Wonder Woman 1984 cannot be canon. I definitely blame that on Jeff Johns because he's a dick. But so in my opinion, that kind of pushes the case that the Snyderverse won't be canon, right, in the Flash film. Now, is the Snyderverse canon? I'm going to kind of join. Let's kind of go through the films real quick, Corey. So go to the next slide. We're going to break this down even further, you guys. See, we're doing some crazy analyzations right now because we can. Obviously, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, I would say Suicide Squad, and Wonder Woman are definitely canon. Can we agree on that, Corey?
Yeah, we could definitely agree on that.
Okay. And even when it sucks to know that Suicide Squad had Justice League, then in the theatrical version, the David Ayer's cut had major connections to Zack Snyder's Justice League. So that's why they were cutting it down so much, is because they were already starting to work on getting Zack out. They were hoping to get him out because they weren't happy with what he was doing with Justice League. So that's why I believe David Ayer got some cutting and some what's the word I'm looking for? They gave him some notes. They gave him some notes about what they want to change. Okay, so let's say, so in the Zack Snyder's Justice League spot, we have the regular, let's just say there's also the Justice League theme there. Aquaman, does that really connect to either one? You could throw your hands at maybe, really no matter what, the Aquaman film could connect to either film. It really, and it honestly, and it could not connect to either film because of Mera. Mera completely throws the film out the fucking door. It just does, unfortunately, because it matches nothing of what happened in both Justice League and Zack Snyder's Justice League. Shazam, you could easily say it connects to either film. There's nothing specific in there that says, that Steppenwolf lost and there's Darkseid. There's nothing in there. You don't even hear Steppenwolf's name mentioned once. All you have is a Man of Steel and BVS reference. Yeah, exactly. Geek Studios, you nailed it. Okay, so we could say Shazam canon to either one. Birds of Prey has really no other connection other than to the first Suicide Squad film. They mention Bruce Wayne and Ace Chemicals, right? But otherwise, it has no other connection to the DCEU, really. So what's the issue there, right? Like, there's nothing to connect. And then you got Wonder Woman 1984, which, throw it out the door, it has zero connection, right? Other than it's definitely a direct sequel from the first Wonder Woman film, but you could say it's part of another multiverse outline. And maybe you could even say that because of the Flash, is he the one that fucked up the timeline that you get Wonder Woman 1984? Did it have that much implications? Is Wonder Woman 1984 already on the different plane of the timeline because it leads into what the Flash does in the Flashpoint movie? See, I'm kind of building a case that.
No.
What are you saying, Corey?
Nah, no way.
What do you mean? You don't think the Flash has messed up the timeline that much that it puts into the new timeline of Wonder Woman 1984?
I think they would at least give us the honor of seeing Flashpoint before they actually, do a Wonder Woman, 84 movie. I think that, like you said before, Wonder Woman 84 was a way to try to get away from Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah.
And some of the things that you have said in the past as well about some of your fan theories. And I know I'm not going to spoil any of them right now because there's some things that we're working on there with it. But I can see what you're saying.
Yeah. So basically all I'm saying is, so here's the thing I'm trying to get to with this essentially. Wow, Trey, this is deep. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Here's what I'm trying to get to with this is that without Zack Snyder, they had zero freaking plans. Okay. And what worries me about the Flash film is I personally think the Flash film with the Flashpoint and setting up this multiverse, I think it allows for lazy writing. You know what I'm saying, Corey? Like, I think it allows for this laziness that, like, oh, well, I mean, just because this didn't connect, it's just part of another Earth where similar things happened, but this one theme was different, and you kind of go like, what the hell does that mean? I mean, you have Grace Randolph who is saying that from the set photos that we saw, it's after Henry Allen's trials, and it's to solidify that Michael Keaton is going to be the Batman of the DCEU so he can lead in with Batman Beyond. And I'm thinking, really? Like, that's what they're doing? it literally allows, like, first off, you got Matt Reeves, the Batman, way over there, which is kind of going to be its own Nolan trilogy like theme. You have, Grant Gustin coming back as the Flash and stuff like that. You have, for a little cameo, but there's really one thing, and this is kind of going a little further, Corey, about maybe why it's not canon, at least maybe why the Flash film is not canon to Zack Snyder's Justice League, is there's one character especially who is missing from this entire cast, and it's not Corey knows he's pissed about this. I can always tell. Go ahead and go to the next slide, man. Ray Fisher, who was easily one of the, even in Justice League, he was one of the bright moments in that movie, and he didn't have much of a role. And in Zack Snyder's Justice League, when you see this dude in all his glory with this film and this character of Cyborg and Victor Stone, he stole the show almost. Hashtag rehire Ray Fisher has been trending today. People want Ray Fisher back as Cyborg. As we know, when Ray Fisher started to throw up a stink, and rightfully so, about everything that happened on the mistreatment on the set from Josh and how Jeff Johns enabled him and John Berg, and then Walter Hamada tries to cover it up, he starts talking out about it. Now, maybe some people have said, well, he shot himself in the leg by being so persistent on it. I could maybe agree with that. Yeah, he kind of put Warner Brothers in the spot where it's like, oh, we can't work with this guy but at the same time, that's bullshit. That's bullshit that they can't work with him. All they have to do is admit that the people in there before them, that maybe they had, all Walter Hamada had to do was say, he wasn't even a part of the situation. All he had to say was like, yeah, Ray, you're absolutely right. Let's do some investigation. I will not get in the way of it. Let's find out what we get back from everyone, all the witnesses, and then let's make the right repercussions from it. And all they did was, we're no longer working with Josh. John Berg is no longer with the company. Please leave. We'll give Jeff Johns a lower role, but he's basically still working for the company. But please don't say anything. And it's like, no, these people did some messed up shit. Take care of this. So what did they do? They told him, for a great part that he was supposed to have in the Flash film, they gave him a cameo instead. And then when he pushed further on it because he wasn't going to let it go, and they were trying to be like, hey, if you don't stop, we're making you a cameo. And then they get rid of him completely. As we know in that Infinite Crisis episode with Grant Gustin, a character that Ezra Miller directly refers to from the Justice League films, and you could say Justice League or Zack Snyder's Justice League, because we won't really know, is Victor Stone. He says, Victor won't believe this. I told Victor. Something like that. I can't remember the exact words he says, but he references Victor. And to not have Victor in this movie at all is just wrong. Corey, what do you think?
I agree with what you're saying, specifically about, they need to rehire Ray Fisher. And even though that Ray Fisher hasn't been rehired yet, I still hold on to hope here. And I don't know if you saw this the other week, Trey. It was actually Ray Fisher tweeted it, and he specifically called out Walter, Toby, Jeff Johns, and Warner. And he says, he said, Walter Hamada, Toby Emmerich, Jeff Johns, and Warner believe everything will blow over if they just ignore it hard enough. He says it won't. They played and lost a very dangerous game. I've been encouraged by every industry professional to stay the course, and I shall. A over E. Mm-hmm. I personally think that he is going to continue to fight for us, and I think that with the changes to Discovery, I still believe that there is a path to keeping DC, the DCEU canon with Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I think that it's incredibly important too, because the sad thing about it all is, look what Marvel did. They they had a plan every step of the way for every movie,
They did.
and
You're
it
right.
connected it perfectly. And
Mhm.
if you want to watch, the Marvel series, you have to watch a lot of the movies to make sure you get all the little hidden Easter eggs in that movie or in any
Exactly.
of the movies.
And
And
sorry, go ahead.
no, and that's what the DCEU is missing. And I'm hoping that Discovery can
Mhm.
help help them find their path again.
It's very interesting you say that, because like, yeah, I mean, it's brilliant what Marvel did, because, and you have to give them credit. While I'm not a huge like, oh my god, all their fans, their movies are amazing, right? I mean, they're good, right? Like, they're good for what they are and what Marvel is going for. Marvel has their formula down to a science. I have to give them credit. I have to give them credit to that.
They
But
absolutely do.
here's a great example of that. Does anyone, I mean, at least in my opinion, I didn't give a shit, about Captain Marvel. I didn't give a shit about Guardians of the Galaxy. I went to go see those because I had saw all the other movies prior to that, and I heard these guys were going to be somehow connected to the future films, you know? So it's like you're forced to go see the film to know what's going on. It's brilliant. So you're bringing in people who have no care in the world for those characters, and here they are. They're going, now you're forcing audience members to see those films. And you know what? If you like the Marvel formula, you're going to love those films because they do it even more. Right. So brilliant on their part. And what I'm trying to get to with what you see in that entire DCEU slate I just showed you was that the first kind of 5 films, right? Man of Steel, BVS, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, Zack Snyder's Justice League, there was connection throughout it. There was a plan. There was a clear plan. Everything after Zack is just discombobulated junk, right? It's just mess. Nothing connects to each other. A few pokes and references, right? Like, but yet there's so much to some of those stories that really they're not connected at all. They serve no purpose to those films, right? Wonder Woman 1984 served no purpose to where she is at in Zack Snyder's Justice League. And honestly, in Justice League, it makes no sense to where she's at, because apparently she can fly. Apparently she can fly. And there's cheetahs around, and she has been helping the world. So it makes no sense for where she is in Justice League and for where she is in Zack Snyder's Justice League. So that's where I say DC did them a huge disservice by trying to get away from the Snyderverse when they really should just accept it, honor it, respect it. And I think what we're starting to see here, I am, Corey, I'm going to come back to your side now. We're seeing so much about how these Warner Brothers is, it's not canon, it's not canon, it's not canon. Hearing from all the execs, it's not canon. And yet we're seeing directors start to give little nods to Zack, right? Just enough not to maybe rattle the cages in the execs, in the suits room. You got Andy Muschietti, who brought in a Supergirl emblem that is a nice nod to Henry Cavill Superman. It's a nod. I wouldn't go on to full on say that it's connected, even though the Kryptonian language that was used in Man of Steel is on her emblem. Interesting. But the big thing about that is Ben Affleck is also in the Flash film. Now, this is after Ben Affleck signed on. When we heard the announcement that Ben Affleck is back as the Batman, he knew that Zack Snyder's Justice League was coming out. He knew it. Zack had called him. Zack called every single person up and said, hey, they're giving me the green light. Are you okay with it? Can I have your blessing? And Ben Affleck obviously gave his blessing. He came back for additional photography and I believe he did it for zero money. He was just happy to be back with Zack.
Ben Affleck was the bomb.
Ben Affleck was the bomb as Batman, yeah. Batfleck like a mother. The fact that Ben Affleck is back is interesting. And Kiersey Clemons as Iris West coming back for the Flash film. Now, here's an interesting thing, Corey. I don't know if you knew about this. Kiersey Clemons publicly did hashtag I stand with Ray Fisher.
Ah, I didn't see that.
It. She did say it. And Ray retweeted that and said, thank you. Appreciate the support. So that's interesting. So she has publicly went against Warner Brothers and said, I believe Ray. And Warner Brothers, basically, if you say I stand with Ray Fisher, you are basically confirming that you think Warner Brothers is a piece of shit. It's just the truth. If you say I stand with Ray Fisher, what they did on Justice League, you have to admit they're a piece of shit, right? And they cut her part in Justice League, because Joss Whedon, obviously was given a runtime deadline, kind of how short he needed to make it, but he cut a lot of diverse casts in there. Who knows what that means? But the fact that she is in this film, that Ben Affleck signed on to do this film after Zack Snyder's Justice League, gives me hope that it could very well be canon. There's no reason why it can't be canon. And that's what I was gonna get you to, Corey, is that there's no reason why this film can't be canon, why Zack Snyder's Justice League can't be canon in the DCEU. Because the only film that does not fit completely, like I said, you could debate Aquaman, other than I think there is a reference about Steppenwolf with Mera and Aquaman. I think there is a reference to that. But and obviously he has the trident that he used in Zack Snyder's Justice League and Justice League, right? So there's no reason why that film, the only person that throws that out is Mera. Other than that, Aquaman could be canon to either film. Shazam could be canon to either film. The only film that can't be canon to Justice League and Zack Snyder's Justice League is Wonder Woman 1984. So that film is completely out the door, basically. It just is. You can't deny it. Now, what we're getting to is, why would Ben Affleck come back? Why would Kiersey Clemons work with Warner Brothers?
Ooh.
If she said, I stand with Ray Fisher. Mm-hmm. Why would Ezra Miller? Ezra Miller is great friends with Ray Fisher. Why would he work on this film? Yes, it is The Flash, and he loves The Flash, and he wants to be a part of this role. But if you're working for the same studio treated you like shit in the last film that you were working on, and treated especially your co-star who was going to be a part of that film, and they fired him because he spoke out about it, why would you sign on for that? Here's what I think is going on. And here's why I say, is the SnyderVerse canon? It still can be. That's the answer I'm getting to. It still can be. There's no reason it can't, other than the Warner execs, who are slowly on their way out in this freaking
bye-bye
with Discovery, because really they serve no purpose anymore. Jason Killar, who we thought was going to be on, he was kind of supportive in the beginning, but then there kind of came a time where he kind of drops the ball. It was like he had no more power. He had no idea what he was doing. He didn't care to push the numbers. You see Netflix, Army of the Dead, which I'm sure we'll find out after this weekend. We'll find out if it was the biggest Netflix movie ever. It will be at least top 10.
Game over, man.
They released the numbers like that. They were so proud of Zack, and they're like, here, you want a Norse mythology show? You take that. You want this? You want that? Whatever, Zack. You got it. Netflix is smart. They know what they're doing. HBO Max, they're like, we can't say if Zack Snyder's Justice League was an overwhelming success, because then that means we'll have to continue it, and DC Films and Warner Brothers doesn't want to do that. You force their hand.
Why don't
give a
they?
shit.
That's the question that I have never understood. Why don't they want to do that?
Because here's the issue that, and
is it
here's
a pride thing?
I think, absolutely, it's an ego thing. It's Jason Killar, it's an ego thing. Walter Hamada, especially, it's an ego thing. Toby Emmerich, without question, is an ego thing. The only person that served is absolutely zero purpose was Ann Sarnoff. She was basically a face of the company. They even said it in the article of Vanity Fair, where she basically just walks around and no one respects her as the CEO. So now that this Discovery merger that officially takes place in the early spring of 2022, the question will be, is how soon can they turn things around? I think if they are on our side. I'm not saying Discovery is the savior here, because I think we can't do that because of Jason Killer. We all thought Jason Killer. Hell, we even thought Ann Sarnoff was going to be the savior of the Snyderverse. When she got in, we all sent her baskets and saying, please, we welcomed her with open arms, and she treated us like shit. Jason Killer was supportive at first, but I think Jason Killer was told to keep his mouth shut because Warner Brothers and Warner Media didn't want to move further with the Snyderverse. They had their plans, right? Like, we got Matt Reeves, the Batman. We want to continue that. We got, I don't know what the hell they're doing with, the Trench, the New Gods. We don't want it to connect. We want to do our own thing. We don't want to be, controlled by what Zack is doing, which, if you think about it, Zack wasn't controlling anybody. Zack just said to all the other directors that were working on the DCEU with him at the time, like Patty, like David Ayer, and the future Aquaman film with James Wan, he just said, hey, this is what I have going on right now. If you guys could kind of just keep it within this realm, do your film. But this is what I have going on. Try to make sure you stay within this universe and let them do their own thing. He allowed for creative, freedoms amongst the directors, which was a good kind of, I guess you could say, environment to have for the DC. And now that he's gone, it's like Warner Brothers has no idea what to do. They have no plans, except for you're seeing directors like James Wan, like David F. Sandberg. You could throw him in there, like Patty Jenkins, other than, like I said, Wonder Woman 1984, which he wrote with Jeff Johns. But she clearly came out and said no one likes Justice League. She had an issue with Josh Whedon. She was there with Gal Gadot when she had her complaints against Josh. She was with her and took it to Warner Brothers. So they are fully underwear, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's why Patty Jenkins is slowly transitioning out of Warner Brothers and might not be back to direct Wonder Woman 3. I think Gal could convince her to come back. I think she would do it for Gal, but I bet, unless if serious things change, I don't think Gal will be back after Wonder Woman 3. I think Wonder Woman 3 will be her final bow out, right? Her final moment. So Discovery gets in. Here's going to be an interesting thing when it comes to the Flash film, because I truly feel like the Flash film is either going to completely destroy the Snyderverse to the point where even if the Flash film fails, if you guys all decide to boycott Warner Brothers and it completely tanks at the box office, and if it's less than 2.5 hours long, I think the Flash film can completely destroy the Snyderverse to where we can't go back. We can't fix it, right? Even if they explain the multiverse, the general audience and the theatrical audience, and hell, even to the streaming service, other than the Snyder Cut community, we can appreciate it, right? We can accept that Zack could continue his universe, but let's talk about the general audience. The general audience will not be able to keep up and understand what the hell is going on, right? I mean, it took forever to convince people that Zack Snyder's Justice League was different. If the Flash movie fails and they completely destroy the Snyderverse within it, like Barry runs back in time and to save his mom and comes back, and Michael Keane is the Batman and Ben Affleck is somehow dead, which you, like you said, you heard from Geekosity, Mikey Son, that he isn't going to die. But if the Flash film completely annihilates the Snyderverse, I don't see how it can go back and be fixed. Which is why I say it's interesting that you get the directors who are paying a little bit of respect to what Zack had planned. But more importantly, here's what I think could be a great sign if it happens. Are you ready for it, Corey? Here's what I think. If this happens, the Snyderverse will be restored. If this happens. Discovery gets in March of 2022. If the Flash movie is currently, it's already a little past 25% done. Okay, already a quarter of the way done filming. If they get in March 2022 with Discovery, and all of a sudden you hear reshoots are called for the Flash film, I think that is a wonderful sign, because what I think that says is Discovery will look at what DC Films was trying to do and what Warner Brothers was trying to do to the Snyderverse. They will say, fix these couple of things, reshoot them, and make sure that you do not kill the Snyderverse. All right, at least connect it a little bit. And Andy Muschietti has already laid down a few little elements that it could still stay alive. He just has to remove a couple of things that maybe DC and Warner Brothers has kind of pushed his story to be. I mean, if you remember, Ray Fisher even said that the Flash film that Andy Muschietti wrote was brilliant. He loved it. He wants to be a part of it. Why would Ray Fisher want to be a part of something that was going to completely kill Zack's film or his universe?
Yeah. I need to look because didn't we see something the other day about the Discovery CEO president said he was going to move his office? Yeah, move his office into the Warner Brothers studios or something like that.
I don't know if that was true, though. I remember you telling me about that, but I can't find any information about that.
Okay, I'm going to keep looking for it, see if I can find it.
Yeah, if you can, like, I would love to talk about that, because if that's true, that's a great time. But one thing David Zaslav has constantly said when he does talk about Warner Brothers is he talks about the word that's been used lately. And here's what's interesting about this, Corey. Zack Snyder has been saying the word IP a lot. DC and Warner Brothers has amazing IP. Amazing IP. You constantly hear that word. Intellectual property, right? David Zaslav starts saying Warner Brothers has amazing IP. That word is being used a lot lately.
Sell.
Right, sell. IP. And when he talks about IP, he always talks about the Trinity. The Trinity is usually one of the first things he says. You have Batman, you have Wonder Woman, you have Superman. Okay. He's talking about how successful that IP is. When you think about, okay, what made that IP successful? Batman, which currently it's Batfleck. Superman, which it's currently Henry Cavill. Wonder Woman, which is currently Gal Gadot. All of Zack's choices. So therefore, you have to ask yourself, is David Zaslav, is he going to be, the question I think really, is he going to be able to get in there in time to see what Warner Brothers is doing and what DC Films is doing to some of their films to try to get as far away from Zack's stuff as possible? And is he going to be able to say, I'm seeing the numbers here to Zack Snyder's Justice League for HBO Max, and it's killing with DVD sales. It's still #1 in the UK. Why the hell aren't we moving forward with this? And when they say, well, you know, Zack's films just cost too much. Oh, what do you mean cost too much? Because I'm seeing Army of the Dead only cost him like $90 to $110 million to make, and that was the biggest film on Netflix. So what's your thing? You know, they're going to ask those questions. And if you see that Army of the Thieves film take off, it's supposed to come out early next year, I believe, or in the fall. I think the animated series comes out in the fall, and then Army of Thieves comes out early 2022. If they see those numbers successful, David Zaslav is going to look at Warner Brothers and be like, why are you sitting on this gold mine? You're here to make money, right? Then get the hell out of my way, and you need to make this right. Apologize to Ray Fisher, get reshoots in. I think if you hear about reshoots in early mid-spring of the Flash film, hell, maybe even early summer, that's a very good sign, because the Flash comes out in November. They have time. They have time to correct, or I should say course correct, back to the Snyderverse if David Zaslav is able to get in. And therefore, we can still #restore the Snyderverse. We can still get these scenes. We still have time for Ben Affleck's The Batman. We have time for the Cyborg film. We have time for David Ayer's Suicide Squad and Justice League 2 and 3 and maybe a Martian Manhunter thing and a Deathstroke HBO Max series and the Green Lantern Corps with Wayne T. Carr as John Stewart. The Green Lantern Corps, you haven't heard enough production things about the Green Lantern Corps that Jeff Johns is apparently working on. I think David Zaslav is going to get in there and been like, okay, well, we couldn't get Wayne T. Carr and Zack Snyder's Justice League because it's done. You know, it's there now. Everyone can see it. But he's going to be in Justice League 2 with Zack Snyder. So therefore, guys, is the Snyderverse canon? It still can be. It has no reason why it cannot be, is the answer. There's nothing stopping it. other than the Warner Brothers executives. So if we keep pushing, keep trending, hashtag restore to Snyderverse, hashtag make the Batfleck movie, hashtag bring back Ray Fisher. That's the biggest issue I have with the Flash film right now, where I feel like I can't support it, that I can't go in the theaters and watch it because Ray Fisher's not there. I want to see it. Michael Keaton is back as Batman. I want to see what they do with Ben Affleck's Batman. I want to see how they treat the multiverse, because it could be such a big film, but the way they've treated some of the people already and haven't corrected or fixed those situations makes it hard for me to support it. And I'm sure you guys are like the same. But this film, I truly believe it can make or it can break the Snyderverse. And at this point, we have to keep up the pressure. Keep tagging at Discovery TV or at Discovery Inc., I think it is. Keep tagging HBO Max. Keep tagging Warner Brothers. Let constantly be a thumb in their, just a bee buzzing around in their head, constantly buzzing a hashtag restore the Snyderverse, hashtag make the Batfleck movie. Because if we are constantly on their minds, I've seen people say it's not worth the time to trend, do these social trending events, do hashtag, rehire Ray Fisher. I stand with Ray Fisher. Constantly be the thorn in their nail, right? Because we are not going to stop. If it's constantly on their mind, then they will know that there's demand out there, and that that they're not going to be let off so easily about it. Just like Ray Fisher said, they expect us to forget about it, to ignore it, to just go to the Flash film, just go to the Black Adam film, and just enjoy it like good little DC fans. But if you want the Snyderverse continued, it's only canon if we let it not. It's only not canon if we don't fight for it, right? Because if we keep pushing, Discovery is paying attention. They're seeing what's going on with this social media engagement. Keep fighting for the Snyderverse, which is why, Corey, go ahead and go to our next slide. On June 27th, we are doing a damn big show with the Batfleck movie Twitter friends. They are coming onto our show that we are hosting for June 27th with hashtag make the Batfleck movie. We are going to dive deep into one of the biggest films that could have been and still can be for the Snyderverse, with Ben Affleck as the Batman, his first solo film of what it was going to be, with Joe Manganiello, who was going to be a damn good Deathstroke. Batgirl was going to be in it. You got Jeremy Irons as Alfred, J.K. Simmons as Commissioner Gordon. Come on. And there's going to be, on this day, we are going to trend all damn day of hashtag make the Batfleck movie. We're going to trend all day. It's up to us. We could make this as huge as we were on November 17, 2019, and what we did shortly after, I think it was like March 21st or 22nd, when we did 1.5 million for hashtag restore the Snyderverse. We need to make this explode. Okay, because it's the only way that we're going to constantly be on Discovery's mind. Discovery is literally coming into clean house to make AT&T money. They're there to help AT&T make money and themselves money. And what's the best way to do that? You give the fans what they want. Who the hell asked for an Hour Man film? Who the hell asked for freaking Plastic Man? No, we want the Batfleck movie. It sounded amazing. And you know what? If it's a multiverse, here's the great thing. If it's a multiverse, you can still have Matt Reeves, the Batman film. You can still have, Shazam. You can still have all that silly things. But guess what? If you restore the Snyderverse, you can have it all and a connected storyline that actually makes freaking sense and isn't combobulated films that just have nothing to do with each other. The multiverse allows for lazy writing. And allows them to be like, oh, well, if it doesn't make sense, it's multiverse. It's another Earth. It doesn't have to make sense. Yes, it does. It has to make sense. Because if you don't connect at least some of it, then why are we wasting our money on this idea of the multiverse? We want some connectivity, right? Because that was what's so great. We finally saw the Justice League together. We finally could see Batfleck and Batgirl and Deathstroke in the same room fighting each other. And that's why on June 27th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are going live with the Batfleck account to raise money for Feeding America. And you can buy these really cool ass t-shirts with this dope logo of the Batman. I dig that logo so much. I still waiting on my House of Wayne t-shirts and hats, but I also got some of the Batman. When I saw this logo, I was like, yep, that's happening. That's just getting done. We are going to dive deep into the Batfleck film. We are going to talk about the plot points that was going to happen in the film. We're going to talk about the fan castings that you guys have done all day for that trending event. We are going to raise money for Feeding America. We are going to just get hyped on this film, right? We're going to be just celebrating how crazy of a day it's going to be on June 27th. And we're going to put the Batfleck movie on the map. Ben wants to do it, apparently. Right? Ben wants to do it. And I think he wouldn't have come back for that additional photography for Zack Snyder's Justice League and say, hey, I'll see you around. If he didn't want to be Batman again, he wouldn't have come back for the Flash film if he didn't want to be Batman again. This guy wants to be Batman. Joe Manganiello wants to be Deathstroke. He talks about it all the time. This dude got so into Deathstroke that he was like, this is who I want. He wants this. It's going to be huge, guys. Do not miss June 27th. We already have the show up so that you can set your reminders to it. Make sure, let your friends know about it. Let's trend all day for hashtag Make the Batfleck movie. And then at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, come join us with the Batfleck team where we are just going to geek out and celebrate and raise money for Feeding America. It's going to be a damn good day, Corey. Damn good day.
I'm so excited, man. I am so excited. Well, this is what we've been waiting for, getting to talk to other people about the SnyderVerse, about the Batfleck movie. Mm-hmm. I can't wait for it, to be honest with you. This is going to be a great show. Make sure you guys are setting those reminders right now. We have the video up. Just make sure you set the reminder. We'll send out some more reminders through our social medias, so make sure you're following those as well. But they can't wait. I can't wait. June 27th is going to be amazing. The release, the Snyder Cut guy. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
Hell yeah. I'm so excited. I get giddy. We have a hype trailer that we're going to be releasing that day. And Corey, should we tell them that it's also going to be a bit of a milestone for us, that show?
Yeah, I think if everything lands correctly, that video should be. I'll let you say it, Trey. Go for it, buddy.
All right. Well, thank you. So it's a big moment for that show, guys. It's going to be our 100th episode with the Batfleck movie. I'm so excited to celebrate that with them. That milestone, like stars just align right when that stuff happens. So our 100th episode celebration with the Batfleck movie, doing what we always wanted to do with, talking about all these crazy cool ideas with the Batman film, but more importantly, having a show for a good cause. That's why I was like, couldn't wait to hit 1,000 subscribers so we could have something like Super Chat to raise money for Feeding America. So guys, don't forget to join us. June 27th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is going to be a damn big day. And some big things going on that day. So don't miss it. Set your reminders. And we look forward to seeing you guys there. But thank you so much for watching. It's always been fun. I hope this video kind of gave you guys some things to think about with the SnyderVerse Canon, topic that's been going on. It seems like a lot of people have been having heated debates on it, which, as you saw, Corey and I could have a debate and kind of talk about both sides. And the truth is, no matter what, there's no reason why the SnyderVerse can't be canon. It's up to us to push the issue and keep it on the minds of the guys in the suits. And more importantly, while Warner Brothers and DC Films is trying to destroy it, Discovery is coming in and they don't have any beef with Zack and what's been going on. They just want to make money and they just want to make good products.
Here they come to save the day.
It's Discovery. Well, I say let's keep an eye on them. Let's see what's doing. What's going to help Zack and the continuing of the SnyderVerse. It's going to be social media engagement. They're going to keep an eye out on what is going to sell. And right now, the most hottest topic that is being discussed is the SnyderVerse, along with the Batfleck movie, along with David Ayer's Suicide Squad, along with Ray Fisher as Cyborg. And some of the directors, I think, are starting to kind of plan for it. James Wan with The Lost Kingdom connected to the SnyderVerse, plans for Justice League 2 and 3. Andy Muschietti kind of leaving hints of Zack Snyder. It's up to us to force Warner Brothers' hands. So thank you guys so much for watching. June 27th, we trend all day with hashtag Make the Batfleck Movie. But thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to hit that like, share, and subscribe, and that notification bell so you never miss an episode.
Hey Trey,
What?
before we close off, was there a video you wanted me to play today?
Oh, there was. I totally spaced that I did this. See, I got so busy. Literally, I got home from driving with my wife after 2 hours of helping Corey move. And it was like, bam, I just like got into the video so in time. so here's the perfect answer for is the SnyderVerse canon. Go ahead and play it, Corey.
Well, it is. But see if you can follow me here. It isn't. Oh. So it is. And it isn't.
Oh my god!
I love that movie so much. My Hot American Summer. That's exactly true. It is and it isn't. You are ready to learn the new way. It's up to us, guys. We can make this canon. So therefore, is it, or is it not? It's up to you. Remember when Zack said the power is within the community to make it canon. Let's decide who will make it canon. It's us who makes it canon. We made
only
Zack
you can restore the Snyderverse.
Only you can restore the Snyderverse, right? It's up to us. So let's just go. Let's June 27th. Let them know.
Hit me with that. Only you can restore the Snyderverse with Darkseid voice again.
Oh, okay. I'll try. Ray Porter, I'm gonna try to make you proud, bro. Only you can restore the Snyderverse. How's that?
Damn.
Ray Porter, watch out. No, just kidding. Ray's far better than I. But no, guys, I'm excited. Like I said, June 27th, we trending all day with hashtag Make the Batfleck Movie. We're gonna put it on the map. We're gonna put it on the desk of David Zasloff, who goes hashtag Make the Batfleck Movie. What's that about? Oh, Ben Affleck. All right, let's call Ben up in here and see what he wants to do. We're gonna keep it on their mind. It's going to happen. So let's go. Let's go. It. Make sure you hit that like, share, and subscribe. And that notification bell so you never miss an episode. I'm your host, Trey of the Bat Channel.
And I'm Supergirl Corey.
And don't forget to tune in weekly.
Same bat time.
Same Bat Channel.
Oh, I got chills when you did that.
I'll see you there, guys.
That was tight. All right.
Have a good one.
Bye, guys.
For those of you who aren't interested in sending in a video